Everybody, welcome. Your saltwater guide, Captain Dave Hansen, with my trusty buddy Marley. And it's a Okuma Wednesday, gang. It is a Okuma Wednesday. Normally, we're joined by my co-host, Bill Varney, on Wednesdays, but Bill is on vacation. So you got me and Marley, or Marley and I, if you would. And then in a little while, Captain Al Clowers is going to join us to talk about what he's got going on tomorrow. But gang, it's opening day yesterday of Rockfish season. Can't get out there, a little too breezy. Once again, a little too breezy again today. But everyone's looking forward to tomorrow to get out there. If there's some boats out there fishing right now, I hope everybody took their seasick pill and they got their kidney belts on, because it looks a little scary out there right now. The wind in Long Beach last night was clocked at 40 miles an hour. Josh, how are you today? Kelly and I are going to Iowa for Riley's graduation. So we'll be in Oskaloosa here on the 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th of May. So we're looking forward to that. Today you got Marley and I, and we're going to be talking about rockfish. It's rockfish time, gang. And then Promar, we're just going to mention this real quick, and your saltwater guide are teaming up for a phenomenal contest throughout the rest of the season as far as rockfish go. And we'll launch that on Monday, so just stay tuned for all the good stuff. We'll be joined on Monday by Brian Promar, and we'll announce what we're going to do. It's going to be fun. It's insanely windy today, too. You're absolutely right, Matt Ryan. Crazy. You can pretty much set your watch to this wind every year, though. Opening day of Rockfish, April 1st. Get ready for a lot of wind. Tomorrow, we got the great Kelly girl joining us, and the fishing weatherman, Chris Dunn, is going to be with us to explain a little bit about this springtime weather wind. It's always a pleasure when Chris joins us. But today is Okuma Wednesday. We got a new product we're going to talk about. That's an old product that we talked about in the beginning of the year. We're going to talk about it some more. We're going to talk about the Cavalla reel today, and what a great reel that is for what's coming up, this Rockfish. We'll show you a cool little commercial or a cool little video about the Cavalla reel here a little bit later in the show. And then today I'm going to be talking rockfish till Al joins us a little bit later. So we're going back to our roots. We're going back to what I did for, oh my gosh, the first 4 years of the show. I did this all by myself. No guests, no nothing. Just me and you guys hanging out talking. So if anybody has any questions, anything you want to know about rockfish, we're talking strictly rockfish today. And I'm going to tell, and Brian Carter, once again, congratulations. Hopefully you saw the video Brian made about you. Brian Carter won the ambush this season, the final. He won the $500 worth of Promar products and $50 worth of your saltwater guide products. And Brian, if you send me your address now or later on in the show, Kelly girl, or excuse me, going too fast. Go to our store, pick out a couple of items, $50 worth of clothing, and then send me your address and what you need, and Kelly or girl will order that for you today, and we'll get that shipped out to you as soon as we can. So congratulations, Brian Carter, for winning the Ambush the Season award. That was pretty good reward. That's pretty cool. $500 worth of Promar products, $50 worth of your saltwater guide product. Pretty spectacular. And then Tut won $1,000 worth of product this year for the biggest lobster of the season. It just keeps getting better and better and better. And then Jason Cutter won the biggest halibut of the month in Dana Point. Your saltwater guide members just cleaning up. Family's doing good. I'm proud of all of you. You guys are doing a great job. And today is Rockfish Wednesday. It's usually Surf Fishing with Bill Wednesday, but we don't have Bill Varney with us because Bill is on a big old airplane flying to Florida right now. And he's going down there to fish all the way down to Key West. He said he's going to be all over the Florida Peninsula. He's going to be everywhere. So I can't wait till he gets back and tells us all about his phenomenal Florida trip. Hopefully he sends us some pictures. And Marley's taking a piss right now on Dad's shoulder. Good job, Marley. Does that feel good? It's warm. I'll tell you that. It's warm, warm, warm. And sorry, Marley, stop. God, he's still going to the bathroom. Yep, that's the thrill of having a monkey, like I always say. It's the dumbest thing I've ever done in my life is having a monkey. Oh, my gosh. I mean, he's cute. We love him. But my goodness, it's a lot of work. A lot of work all the time. Can't tell you. It is an unbelievable amount of work. And yeah, he's going potty wherever he wants. Gang, if you have any questions, you want to know about Rockfish, let me know. It's Rockfish. And lots of messages coming through. Yeah, we'll talk about it on Monday, Brian, for sure. Okay, everybody. So listen, over on our website, yoursaltwaterguide.com, besides we have all those lobster spots where everybody goes and catches their lobsters, we have rockfish spots, lots of them, a plethora of them. And that's the kind of unique thing about what we do at Your Saltwater Guide. I want everybody to be successful when they go fishing. So I give you everything you need to not suck. Our rockfish spots, most of them though, gang, are not much bigger than the room that are the office here that I do the show in every day. They're very small. So what I try to explain to everybody, the GPS numbers that are our rockfish spots, it's super important to know how to use your GPS. When you put in our latitude, longitude onto your GPS and you go to the spot, hit go to, and then it draws that line on your chart plotter and the little dot where the spot is. It's super important as you get close. I'm sorry, I'm throwing out so much information, but I'm excited. I love fishing and I love rockfish. Calico bass, rockfish, my two favorite things to fish for. Why? Because I know exactly where they live and I can catch them and I love to eat them. But here's the problem most people have is they don't understand how the rockfish situation works. They think they drive up to the spot, they drop their line down, they can't hook a fish, and then they just nilly-willy drift for the next 3 hours thinking that, wow, we caught a fish right here. It's not like that. Those GPS numbers are exactly on the top of the spot where you're going to catch your fish. As soon as your chart plotter says 0.00 to go to spot, that's when you stop, put the boat in reverse, stop the forward momentum, drop your line down, catch your fish, wind it up, take it off the hook, take your boat, drive it back to the spot. Most people don't do that. Most people are like, God, I got a fish. They wind it up, they unhook it, they drop their line right back down again. You're not on the spot the next time. Are you going to catch? Yeah, you probably catch a sand dab or maybe one of those green striped rockfish or one of those little brown spotted rockfish, but you're not going to get, hey, calm down, little buddy. You're not going to get the fish that you're trying to catch, the big red or the big bocaccio or the Boscos or the good eating fish. They're on those numbers that I gave you. The numbers that we give you, that's where those fish are. So it's imperative that you move the boat. Every time you catch a fish, you got to look back at your GPS. By the time you wind that fish up 300, 400, 500 feet down, the boat has drifted off the spot. Did you get over there, Marley? The boat has drifted off the spot. So it's imperative that don't drop your line back down. Drive the boat back to the spot where that dot is. You got to zoom in on it. Zoom in as far as you can zoom in as you get close to it. And then drive the boat right to the dot where I'm telling you the GPS numbers are. And when it says 0.00 to go to spot, that's where you drop. Don't let the boat slide forward. Just right there and drop it straight down to the bottom. And you want to make sure, the other thing is you have enough weight to make it down there. So it's super imperative that you make it down there. And no, Pablo, today Al's going to jump on at the end for a few minutes. But no, I got this. I'm doing it today. Old style, back to Dave Hansen by himself. So we're trying to understand how this rockfish thing works, gang. It takes a lot of energy to do it proper. The spots that Pablo gives you, the spots that Justin gives you, the spots that Al gives you, the spots that I give you, the spots that Sonny give you, those spots are small. And once you stop and drop your line, you've drifted off of it. I can't emphasize that enough, how important it is to make sure. Keep looking at your GPS. Keep looking at how far off the spot you are. If you're one click, that's 0.01, you're off the spot. Your line isn't going to the fish. Remember, every one of these spots are tiny. Your GPS gets you within 50 feet of the spot. So when it's at 0.00 and you hook the fish right there, you're no longer on that spot. So it's imperative to move back to the spot. If you want to catch the big fish, like the one that you caught right when you first stopped, that was because you were on the spot. Now you're catching little gobbledygooks and little crotch crickets. You got to move the boat back to the spot. Next thing that people do is they fish with not enough weight. The best thing to do is to go rockfish fishing early in the morning before there's any wind. Once that wind starts to blow, it makes it very, very difficult to keep the boat on the spot, if you will. Brian, you can throw up the contest on the comments. That's fine. But it's Okuma Wednesday, so I'm talking Okuma products today. But you can throw up the contest you and I are going to do for the rockfish up there on the screen. But listen, if your line is not going straight down, if there's an angle on your line, that's because you don't have enough weight on. It may be a lot of current too. So there's current and there's wind that are both going to be involved with how fast you're drifting. So you're going to have to play it by ear. I would normally start out with 6 or 8 ounces of lead if it's flat calm. And then I'm going to see which way my line's going. And that'll tell me if I have enough weight or not. I may clip on 8 ounces. I may go to 12. I've even gone as much as 16 ounces. I'm not going to go any more than 16 though, or I don't want to play. I don't want to fish. I'd rather go do something else. But 6, 8 ounce to start with, and then maybe add weight if you need it to get down to the bottom. But it's imperative that you get down to the bottom as fast as you can possibly get down there. It's super important when you stop the boat to drop your line right away. You'll hear the captains, if you've ever been on a sport boat, they tell you to get ready as they're pulling up to the spot. Everybody get ready. That means to get your sinker in your hand and your reel in free spool. And when he says, let him go, drop the sinker in the water and let it go flying down to the bottom. The guy that gets there first is always going to get the bigger fish because those fish are down there waiting for food. And when their food comes flying down to them, the first pieces of food that get down there, the bigger fish are going straight for them. The little fish get out of the way. They don't want to get eaten by the bigger fish, but the bigger fish are going to grab your bait right away. And then whammo, you're in there. You got your big whopper rockfish and you're winding it up. Next thing, we're going to show you this video with the Cavalla, and I want you to see what this is all about, and then I'm going to talk about it. So if you look at this video, you're going to see what I'm talking about. This is super important. Look at this. It's all about that braided line. See the braided line right there on the spool? If you're going to fish rockfish, you want your reel filled with braided line. The Cavalla is a phenomenal reel for rockfish fishing. It's going to hold all the line you need. It's going to hold so much 65-pound braid. I'm not sure the exact amount, but it's going to hold plenty for fishing in 600 feet or less. Plenty of line, 65-pound braid. But why braid? Because braid's going to sink straight down. It's not buoyant in any way. It's neutral. So it's going to go wherever that weight takes it. Where monofilament If you're using mono, it floats. And those of us that used to use Dacron back in the days, that floats. But braided line shoots straight down to the bottom. Now, why do I like to use the Cavalla? Well, it's a 2-speed reel. It holds phenomenal amount of line, but it's not a big, bulky reel. It's designed to fit perfectly in your hand, index finger on the spool, thumb on the trigger. It's not a heavy reel, but it's heavy duty to catch the fish that we're fishing for. You can catch the tune on it like we talked about in January. But the Cavalla reel is going to be a perfect slow pitch jig reel if you're going to fish those new slow pitch jigs for the rockfish, or you're going to fish the Akara jigs, or you're going to fish the flat falls. For the flat fall works phenomenal for those rockfish, and it sinks perfect when you have the Cavalla reel filled with braided line. And right now, Okuma and myself are working together, and we got a great deal for you. If you want to get one of those Cavalla 2-speed reels, you can use the code Cavalla Dave 20, all one word, Cavalla Dave 20. That'll save you 20% on the Cavalla reel. I'm going to throw the QR code up on the screen right now, and you can go to Okuma Fishing USA. When you're checking out with your Cavalla reel, you put in the code Cavalla Dave 20. You save 20% on that reel, and then you're going to be set. You're going to be ready for rockfish, and then as rockfish rolls into tuna, the Cavalla reel is multi-purpose driven reel that's going to work perfect. The drag system, the 2-speed, the low gear, the high gear. A lot of times when you're fishing 600 feet of water and you get two of those 5 or 6 pound reds, it's very, very cool to click that reel into low gear and lay your rod on the rail and just slowly wind it up. It's a phenomenal reel for rockfish fishing. And the really cool thing about it is the amount of line that it holds and the way that you're able to click it into low gear to wind those fish off the bottom there. I look like the One Space movie. What are you talking about, McLovin? Do you need to be banned? What do you guys think? But back to the rockfish thing, gang. So there's several different ways to do it. We talk about the rock cod squirts that Promar makes. That's kind of our go-to. Most of our people, we like to fish with bait. But if you like to fish with lures, the slow pitch Carnata jig, oh my gosh, the slow pitch Carnata jig is deadly for the rockfish. Absolutely deadly. And that's another product by Okuma. You see it at Fish Labs. Fish Lab is owned by Okuma. And that slow pitch Carnata jig with the Cavalla reel is a phenomenal system for catching rockfish. It works epic. But it's super important if you're going to rockfish to have some spots. You want to start out always in the deeper water early in the morning before the wind blows. Because once that wind blows and we're only got rockfish to fish, then you got to move into the shallow water, fishing that 200 to 300 foot stuff and getting the rest of your limits of rockfish. Again, this year you can only have 2 vermilion rockfish, and then you can fill in the rest of your limit with 8 assorted other fish. But it's oh my gosh. The rules are incredible, gang. You got to pay attention to the rules. Like Justin was saying the other day, and he apologizes, he was not talking right. It feels good, Matt. You should try it. I'll bring up some for you next time I see you. But Justin was trying to tell everybody you can't fish deeper than 300. It's wide open till September. You can fish any depth you want. Those of you that really enjoy dropping down 8, 9, 1,200 feet, you can do that. Me, I like to fish 300 feet or less. I catch plenty of fish that way with all the different rockfish spots we have on the website. If you fish it proper, you'll get your 2 vermilion rockfish. You don't have to drop it down 1,000,000 feet. I really don't understand the allure of fishing that deep with 2 hooks and you're only allowed 2 vermilions, I'll take the 2 in 300 feet of water myself. Yeah, they can tell what reel you're using for sure, Devo. You didn't know that? Come on, you've been doing this for how long? You know that. No, it's just usability. The usability of the reel is the key. That 2-speed, the Cavalla, the power handle. If you look back at that video I showed you a minute ago, that power handle is phenomenal for rockfish. If you guys remember the old days with the big bicycle handle, that big handle we used to fish them with, that handle on there, if you see him put him in gear, when you see him put it in gear, you'll see the big power hand there. See that power handle? Perfect for rock fishing. Perfect. It just makes it easier to wind them up from so deep down. But the allure of fishing that 6, 8, 1,200 feet of water, I don't understand it. Everyone thinks the fish are going to be bigger. And this thing about sablefish or black cod, gang, we drove away from those fish. I don't get it. Everybody's like, oh, I want a black cod. Why? Those black cod we never kept them. They're mushy. I don't get it. I don't understand it. I commercial fished rock cod for a very long time. I don't understand the allure of catching fish in 600, 800 feet of water. Now, when we fished 600 and 800 feet of water, we were allowed to catch cow cod and take them home. And we fished it with 100 hooks. I know. You're like, Dave, you're full of crap. Well, I'm not. And we used 100 hooks. We never dropped down with less than 50 hooks, but a lot of us were using 100 hooks, fishing 600 to 800 feet of water for cow cod, and you catch cows and reds. But if anybody caught a black cod, we moved the boat immediately. We get as far away from that as you can. They were worthless. No one would buy them. And they represented that you weren't on the spot. They live in the mud. They don't live on the rock. So when people ask me, where should I go to catch a black cod, a sablefish? I'm all, why? Why? Oh, they're supposed to be good. Well, go eat a tilapia then. For goodness sakes. I don't get it. But for some reason, I can't even talk people out of it. I can't even talk. They just are, I don't know. The media got you. The media got everybody. They're like, oh, I got to have a black cod. Why? Please, somebody explain it to me. They were garbage my whole life until a couple of years ago. And here's what I believe. The Fish and Wildlife Commission, the people behind all these closures, they made you guys focus on a fish that's garbage to make you feel good. Like, oh, wow, we're going to get a black cod. As they took away your vermilion rockfish, and then they made it sound all cool when they opened up the depth. Well, you catch black cod now because you can fish 600 to 800 or 1,200, whatever, 1 billion feet of water. But if you catch a cow cod, you can't keep it. You have to throw it back. But let me tell you something. The cow cod's dead when you wind a cow cod up from 600 feet. I know you let one go on your descending device. I'm sorry. All I got is my honesty. That fish is dead. Look at them the next time you bring up one of those fish from the depths and their eyeballs are full of air. They got little bubbles of air all over in their eyes. Their eyes are bugged out of their head. Their bodies all got air bubbles all over their body. And you're going to tell me you're going to put that on a descending device and send it back down and it's going to live? Okay. All right. If that's what you want to believe, you go ahead and believe it. And remember, if you got 15 shots, you were going to be okay. Remember that. Just remember. All I got is truth. I'm just telling you the truth. That fish doesn't live. He's not living. He's not living. He's not. The whole descending device thing was to make you feel warm and fuzzy inside. And I know there's a bunch of people that are going to come on here and tell me, Dave, we saw them with the camera. They swam away. If you cut a chicken's head off, he runs around for a few minutes too. Absolutely. That fish swims away when you release it from the descending device till he gets out of the light, and then he becomes a mud dart. All right? So the only good thing about the descending device, me personally, is you don't have a bunch of dead fish floating around the boat. That's a bad optic. It doesn't look good. It doesn't look good for the fishermen. But if you're going to tell me that fish lives because you saw it swim away in the camera when it, okay, whatever. I got a timeshare that I'd love to sell you too, babe. It's a great deal. Oh my goodness, gang. Remember, a lot of people don't like me because I tell the truth. They're just not big into the truth, boy. They don't like me. Just like when you grab a marlin out of the water and take a picture of it. That's a dead marlin. You can, we drove around and drug him, and when we let go of him, he swam. No, he didn't. He went like this. Right down to the bottom and became a mud dart. Same thing with the rockfish, gang. I'm just trying to help you. So everybody gets so excited now about the depth. And when you're fishing that deep, you have a very good chance to catch a cowcod. That's where they live. Now you're going to catch a fish that's 15 or 20 pounds that you're not allowed to keep, and it's dead. I know they made you feel good, warm and fuzzy, but that's not real. You got to be careful. I would fish shallower. All I'm trying to do is explain to you that there's really no benefit to fishing that deep water. It's not going to help you guys. Fish that shallow water. We got a plethora of spots. My good buddy Pat Lyons and I, we love fishing those reds in 250, 300 feet of water. Just understand, you don't need to drop down 1,000,000 feet to catch a rockfish. And besides, you're only allowed 2 vermilion rockfish. So don't drop it down that far. I know they're excited, Pat, but I got to tell them the truth. I know they're excited, but you got to be careful. I know. Sable fish tastes great, I guess, if you got nothing else to eat. Oh, my God. I just get so excited. I got to bring it down. Okay. Bringing it down. So look at. As far as the rockfish goes, there's billions of them. The closures, all that stuff, that's all what we got to work on the 16th and 17th when the Fish and Game Commission meeting's back in order. It's super imperative that we keep our cool when we're on this meeting on the 16th and 17th. Remember what I told you guys. And Brent, we love you. We absolutely love you. But you can't lose it. When you're talking to these people, you cannot call them names and you can't lose it. It's imperative that you sit down and write down what you want to say in this meeting because they want to take away our fish. We know that. But if we piss them off, they're going to take away our fish. So let's try to act like a bunch of adults in the meeting on the 16th and 17th. I know a bunch of you are going to go and you're going to be on the Zoom call. But this all goes... How did I roll into that talking about this? Because they want to close another fishery. They're hell bent on closing another fishery. And me and my buddy Pat and I, we discovered some phenomenal reds fishing at Catalina. And it was so sad because right after we discovered this phenomenal red fishery out there at Catalina, they took it away from us. And then they took it, and then they didn't even wait an hour, and then they took the limit from 5 to 2. And believe me, when I did it commercially and when I did it for a living running sport boats, you were allowed 15 rockfish. Now it's all the way down to 2, gang. It's imperative that we all get involved. We show up to this meeting on the 16th and 17th, the Fish and Game Commission meeting, and we act like adults and we act appropriately. Talk to them the way you would want someone to talk to your children, because at the end of the day, remember, that's all they are, is children. You just can't You can't go in there like, you can't call them names, and you can't lose your cool. State a fact. We already sent out emails, Kelly and I, what you should say, what you shouldn't say. We're getting that from the higher ups. And it's imperative that we show up to the meeting because we, the people, can slow down these closures. But the rockfish thing was a scam to begin with because there's plenty of rockfish, but it's just one more closure coming down the pipe that makes no sense at all. And then I think the way they spiced it up and the way they made everybody feel warm and fuzzy is they opened up the depths. So then you got to fish in depths where you couldn't keep anything. And then they told you, oh, well, you get to catch a sable fish, a black cod. All right. Just remember, pay attention to the verbiage that they're using and pay attention to the words that they're using and be involved. And we, the people, can slow down these closures and we, the people, can change what's going on out there. But it's super important to be involved. It is. It's super important. We really can't afford another closure in California as far as recreational fishing. We can't. There's no reason for another closure. This rockfish thing is so overregulated. And like my buddy Pat and I, we could go to the spot right now where we caught the reds at Catalina. We could literally drop down 2 times and be done. We'll have our 4 reds and we could be on our way home. And it wouldn't even have a tiny effect of the population of the fish. We could drop down and each catch 10 and it wouldn't slow down the population. I'm just trying to let you know that the reason why Pat and I can do that, or Ronnie V and I can do that, or Justin and I can do that, or Pablo and I, is because we zero out the GPS. We get right on top of the spot and then we drop our lines down. And it's super imperative to make sure that you're on there. If you guys go to the QR code, this is a question I just got. If you go to the QR code right there and you open that up, you're going to see the agenda. You're going to see the massive amount of things that they want to accomplish on this meeting. And they filled up the agenda with a massive amount of stuff to take the focus off of what they're really trying to do. The agenda is the agenda. What time? They do their best to try to stay on time. But if you look at the agenda, gosh only knows what time everything is going to go off because of the massive amount of things that are on there. And then remember, while you're watching the Fish and Game Commission meeting, they spend an awful lot of the time telling each other how great they are. So you got to account for that. They're going to tell each other how beautiful their outfits are and how nice their glasses look today and how good their hair looks. They're going to talk about a lot of things that don't matter. And you have to remember, why do they do that? They do that because they don't really know what they're talking about as far as closures go. So they have to take the focus off of the real problems and they have to put the focus on what they're wearing, how their outfit looks, and all the different things. Captain Al Clowers, welcome to the show, buddy.
What's up, guys, girls, everybody?
Nice to see you, my friend. Nice to see you.
Nice to be seen.
And then another thing, Al, that's going on right now is a young lady, junior lifeguards, was attacked in Long Beach on Saturday by a California sea lion.
Wow.
I'm going to tell you guys.
In the water or on the dock?
Well, listen and you'll know. Just take a deep breath and listen to me. Okay. So junior lifeguard, she jumped in the water. She was swimming. Sea lion grabbed her by the forearm and tried to eat her. I'm telling you guys, I've been telling you for years, they're going to start eating us. And that was a prime example. This poor little girl, she's your daughter's age, Al.
Wow.
She's a junior lifeguard. Mom standing there on the beach inside of Long Beach Harbor. Little girl jumps in the water with all her friends. She's swimming. Sea lion grabs her by the arm, tries to eat her. Now, you know what they're blaming it on, Al?
No.
The sea lion has algae poisoning. That's what made it eat the little girl. Now, if you would have left the little girl in the water a little bit longer, he would have ate all of her, but he only got to chew on her arm a little bit. And then she was she was pulled out of the water by her friends. I've been telling people for years, sea lions are going to start eating us. What do they like to eat? Meat. What are we? Meat. So sea
Chicken.
lions are eating us, gang. But Captain Al, what are you doing? You're going fishing tomorrow. We all get to watch you fishing in the back bay, right?
Absolutely.
What do you think of that, gang?
I haven't ran it by the clients, but it should be okay. We're going to be, that's always a little chore, but I'm leaving the marina at 10 and then the tide's low. So instead of wasting 3 hours today trying to go get ghost shrimp, I talked the guy into leaving early. So we're going to leave at 10 and go over there and pump shrimp and then go to the back.
Yeah, that's going to be great. Are you going to try to video a little bit of the ghost shrimp thing?
Yeah, he's got two kids, a teenager and an under 10-year-old. So I'll have one of them hold the phone.
That'd be great. We'd love to watch that too.
Anyway, that's my plan anyway.
That's a great plan.
Plans don't always work like I want them to, but that's my plan, Dave.
Well, the weather looks nice.
Yeah,
tomorrow
it's gonna still be a little bit brisk in the 60s, but the wind's supposed to go away.
And the tide looks good?
And the tide's okay. I mean, the best part about it's low at 10 o'clock, so I'll be able to get shrimp. And then it's like a 3-footer. So it's moving enough.
So explain to everybody that's watching what do you mean by the tide? What are we talking about? Good tide, bad tide, why tide?
So overall tide, talking about overall tide in the bay, in all the bays, but in San Diego Bay, tidal is the key. If you want to go fish San Diego Bay, first thing you do is look at a tide chart. And if you have a 1 to 2 foot tide, I mean, you can still go fishing, but you're not going to catch too many. If you have a 3 to 5 or 6 foot tide, it's go time. It doesn't matter what time of day it is. I would, if I was fun fishing, that's how I do it. I look at the tide, and the tide equals getting all the bait and the ghost shrimp and the razorback clams and all that stuff exposed, so they wake up, and that's time for them to eat. When the tide slows down or stops, everything stops. The food, their appetite, the ambush points, they just sit there and they're still there, but they're really just kind of hanging out, not eating. If that explains it good enough. But where I'm fishing in the back, you got to have water underneath you. A minus 2 foot tide, there's no water. It's dry. So it's very important when you're fishing in the back that you pay attention to the tide, because I've never been stuck back there. But when I had my 25-foot Chris Craft inboard, outboard, there was a few times where I slid that thing out of there with it trimmed up and, but it's very important. And the fish, the fish come in and they go out of there, so they really get moving when the tide's moving, and they really want to eat when the tide's moving because everything's exposed,
Oh, yeah. So that's why it's imperative that they call you before they book a trip and ask you about tide, right?
On those trips, yeah. I mean, once it gets busy, I just run off of 7 to 11 and 11:30 to 3:30, but and have to, sometimes you have to deal with some slack tide. But if you switch it up, you go halibut fishing on the slack tide, kind of mix it up a little bit. But this trip was moved from yesterday, so I gave them the full check tides and all that stuff for tomorrow. I'm hooking them up, but yeah, you can call me right now. The calendar's kind of light, which is really weird. I mean, obviously the last couple of days, I had trips and I had to move them or lose a couple, but this weather's going to go by and it's going to be really nice, like this weekend, I guess. So I'm booked on Sunday. I'm fishing the lake on Sunday. It's crazy. This week I had trips on the Stringari, the Riviera, and the Ranger. So, I go from the lake to the back bay to the islands. I'm all over the place.
No, that's great. It's good to have you back on the show too, so you can explain to people all the different options. We had Pablo on the show the other day. We had Justin on the show. It's good to have you back here. You were down there in
TJ,
Tijuana getting your teeth fixed up.
yeah, yeah, I'm all fixed
Congratulations
up.
on that.
I'm all fixed up, and no more pain, and no more of that cancer destruction in my mouth.
That's great that came together for you finally. Now you're done with that. You don't have to go down there and get your teeth worked on anymore, right?
No, I'm good. I'm good. Only thing I have to do is go pick up my night guard for my top teeth. Other than that, we're good. But it's great. Everything's on implants bolted in. It's pretty amazing. They break out the little impact wrench and everything. But hey, it was a 2 year, and I've been through a lot over the years, ever since I had my radiation. But I'd fix them, and they would, it was pretty bad. But I still had some natural teeth, and that radiation is just brutal. So I would fix them up, and then they would go bad. But this time I did everything. So I have 8 implants in my mouth, and everything's bolted on. So no more pain from any teeth problems, which is great. It just costs a bunch of money, you know.
But half of what it would cost in the States, right?
Yeah, and Lorena hooked me up, so it's $1,200 $1,200 an implant. If you want the hot rod material teeth, it's $350 a tooth. So you can do the math. And then in between that, I had some bone grafts and some gum surgery, and I was riding my dirt bike down there through all those gnarly surgeries, and I'd roll up to the guy at the border, and he'd start talking, and I'd just kind of spit a little bit, and he's like, "Get out of here, dude! What are you doing?"
Yeah, spit out a little bit of blood. Okay, I know what you were doing down there.
Yeah, but it's less than half pretty much. And I have if anybody in the community or whatever wants to go that route, just call me, because I have a family down there, the dad and the 2 girls, and Lorena's the oldest daughter, and she's like on top of her game. She does everything. Her sister is a root canal specialist only right now, so she goes all around to different firms doing canals. But Lorena does gum surgery, bone grafts, implants, you name it, she does it, and she's like way on top of her game. That guy Danny down there in Puerto Vallarta, no tuna, no chinga.
Yeah.
His brother is a dentist in TJ, also right down the street from Lorena, and he was my dentist. But he's just a general dentist. He's really good. But I had to have a bunch of surgeries, and he referred me to Lorena. So I went back to Dr. Sam and just told him, I said, "Hey, I don't want to be hopscotching back and forth. I'm just going to stick with Lorena." He didn't like what I had to say, but he's over it now. But Lorena is, dude, she's a professor at the school still on Mondays, teaches everything, but I can't say enough about them. My whole family, not my whole family, but anybody that doesn't have American insurance or needs a lot of work, they go there.
It's just, and the thing people don't understand, Al, is that the media hypes up Mexico so much and tries to scare you. There's really nothing like Al. Every time Al goes down there, he texts me, and I always say, "Are you scared? Are you scared?" Now I live in Mexico, so I know it's funny, but gang, it's not like they make it out to be. Like the other day, Captain Al was on the show for a few minutes because he just got done having his last surgery down there, and he was talking to us, walked right up to his motorcycle that he had in the parking lot there. Motorcycle was still there, jumped on his bike, and he was back home in a half hour.
Yeah, 20 minutes, actually about 20 minutes. But it was raining, so it took me a couple minutes longer. But yeah,
Yeah.
that motorcycle, it's a little gnarly because I pull it into this parking lot, but the guy owns the parking lot's been there for a million years, right? And he's all over it. So the first couple times I went down there, I wrapped a lock around the back seat of my dirt bike, and I had every intention to use it. and I've never used it. I pull that. All they have to do is push the red button and start right up, and they can take off. But I've never had to lock it or nothing, and I've never had a problem. I mean, here's how it works, and you know this, Dave. If you're down there in Mexico and you're partying and you're causing trouble, yeah, you might have a little bit of problems. But it's self-inflicted. If you're normal and you're just paying your own attention, nothing's going to happen.
Exactly. That's kind of what we try to tell everybody when they come down here. So we got a couple of questions came in about rockfish fishing. You know, I talked about the braided line that I like to use on the reels on the Cavalla series reel, the 65-pound braid. On my smaller reels, I'll use 40-pound braid. But now when we start to put the leader material on there to make our double dropper loops, or if we're not using the rock cod squirts that are already pre-tied from Promar, what we'll do is we'll take monofilament. I really, in my heart, don't believe you need to waste your fluorocarbon fishing with rockfish. I think you can make your little double hook dropper loops with monofilament. I don't think it's that important. What I like to do on the bottom of mine, though, where I tie my sinker to I like to use a lighter line. So if the sinker snags, I can pop it off and still get my gannion or my fish back. So I'll use a lighter monofilament for that. But I'm going to use 50-pound monofilament to tie my double dropper loop. What do you think, Al? What are you using?
What I do is I use 50 regular mono, man. You know what? You don't need to use fluorocarbon. 50 mono, and I use a swivel clip at the bottom. Not all the time, because sometimes I run out, but I'll tie a loop. I tie a loop where you can just kind of put the weight through the loop. But instead of using a little piece of lighter line going to the weight, I just use a lightweight, not too light, swivel clip. So if it does get stuck, the swivel clip just opens up and you get your leader back.
And a lot of times you can catch your two fish that are on your line because your weight got snagged, and then that leader clip or that clip or the breakaway monofilament, it's going to pop that weight off. You're still going to bring up your two fish. It's a magic show. You'll love it.
Yeah, they'll float right up as soon as that weight's gone.
But yeah, nothing but braid to your two hook dropper loop or your rock cod squirts from Promar that are already pre-tied. But no, I'm not
these right here.
Yes, those right there. But something I'm not doing, and I don't do this, every one of my reels are filled to the rim with braid. I don't use a top shot. I don't. I know people like to do it. I don't. And then I tie everything straight to the end of my braid, whether it's my double dropper or my rock cod squirts or when I'm using a lure. Now, forget about all that. When I'm using a lure, yeah, I'm going to use a 12 or 18-inch piece of monofilament for rockfish. Or if I'm fishing tuna, I'm going to use a 12 to 18-inch piece of fluorocarbon. But other than that, it's straight braid, period, with a 12-inch leader or 18-inch leader. Because I don't believe that we're fishing for cartoon fish. I don't think they come screaming up to Al's hook and then stop and look 12 inches up the line and go, oh, shoot, it's tied to braid. No, they're looking at that bait. And if you have a piece of mono or a piece of fluoro, they can't see it. They eat it. Now, if I owned a fluorocarbon company or a monofilament company, I would tell you need 8 miles of fluorocarbon in front of your hook to your braid. You know what I mean?
I do the same thing. All my reels are full of braid, and I use a quick top shot. And the cool thing about it is, for a couple reasons, that braid lasts a lot longer than mono, and it doesn't get all watered up. But the braid's way smaller diameter. If you need a 40-pound top shot because the fish are kind of big, you got a 65-pound braid or 50-pound braid with a little tiny piece of 40 fluorocarbon. That bait's going to swim way faster than if you got bunch of 40 mono on your reel. You know what I mean? And that's key. A lot of times the fish will be right on the back of the boat, And the guys over there, they'll pick a hot bait, but they pin it on to 40 or 50, and the bait's trying to pull that line. You grab that braided rod with a smaller reel, and that you pitch that bait in the water, and that thing darts off, and they get bit immediately. All those little baby Okumas that I have, those 15s and 5s, I'm talking 40-pound fish and smaller. Those things, when those fish are finicky, I break those things out, and it's like night and day, I tell you, because it's very important that bait swims quick. And all it has to do is swim quick for a couple of yards because it gets bit immediately,
Yeah, no, I feel the same way you do. That's kind of how I go about it. And then as far as that descending device, Matt Ryan, yeah, you're absolutely right. Put it up on top above your double dropper loop or above your rock cod squirts. And like Justin and Pablo showed that video last year when they were out there rock fishing, you got to have the descending device tied to a rod anyway. You might as well just put it on the rod you're fishing rockfish with, right, Al?
Right. Absolutely. I keep a rod up there with it on there, kind of like a junker rod, just so I have it ready. Because sometimes it gets hot and heavy, and you got to have the deckhand or whoever, or I got to get down there and start releasing them real quick. You know what I mean? Bring them up, release a couple. Bring them up, release a couple. But
I understand. There's a lot to it, but it's not. If you just follow the simple directions that Al and Pablo and Justin and I have put out on our website, you start to put the puzzle together. It's not that big of a deal. One thing I wanted to say to you though, Al, is one of my good buddies that I used to fish with, he was a largemouth bass fisherman like yourself. What do you call them? Green bass, whatever. But he told me a long time ago, because I was still a mono guy, and he's like, Dave, how come you haven't got over to the braid? And I'm like, yeah, I'm a mono guy. And he goes, all the bass fishermen are fishing braid. And I'm like, braid sucks. And now I'm like, I understand, because you can feel the bass swim by your bait when you have braid. When you have mono, it's like fishing with a rubber band.
Right. I'll have, my bass boat, I got like 15 or 17 rods in there all rigged up, but some of them have braid, some of them have fluorocarbon, and some of them have mono. The topwater rods, like throwing a spook and a pop bait and stuff like that, you want floating line. You want that line to stay on top. Drop shot rod on a spinning rod, you got braid with the top shot. The frog rod, straight braid. We throw these little, when the fish are boiling out over 80 foot of water, they come up and they start foaming. We throw little tiny baits, and we're throwing 5-pound braid on this little 1,000 spinning rod, straight braid to the bait. There's a lot of different variables in the lake versus the saltwater. The only thing I don't put braid on in the saltwater is my jig stick. I put straight 40. Well, it depends. For my yellowtail jig stick, I put 40. And then for the big tuna jig stick, I have 80-pound braid, so I can put whatever top shot I want, 100-pound or whatever for the big bluefin.
And a longer rod with the softer tip because there's no stretch, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. So there's a lot to it, but I mean, over the year, so every now and then I'll have people bring their rods on the boat. A lot of, I don't do a lot of open parties, but some of them, the ones I do, they bring all this gear that's really not necessary, but they got these rods with all this mono on there, and we're fishing in 350, 300 feet, 350, and I walk over there and grab that rod, and it feels like a big old rubber band, like whoa. I grab one of the rods that they should be using, and I show them the difference, and they like trip out, because you can feel a pebble in 350 foot or a little nibble, with that braid. It's night and day.
Yeah, exactly. You know what was cool last week? You allowed us all, and a couple of my really good friends called me, and you allowed us all in on your bass world, which you watch the
FLW,
on TV and stuff, and you're seeing you're seeing a lot of edited version. We got to see Captain Al Clowers live fishing largemouth bass, which was pretty dang cool.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. I might be out there on Saturday. I don't know. It's open for charter right now, but if I can't just sit around and be in this garage all the time. I got to go fishing. So, especially this time of year. And the most economical trips are the lake. Cost me
Yeah,
about $50 to go to the lake.
I hope the doctor lets you go live on Sunday. That'd be so cool.
Yeah, I'm not sure if he will. He's pretty weird about that. I can barely get pictures from the guy.
Well, it'll
But
be cool if he lets you.
I'll explain it to him because there's a lot of stuff. There's a frog bite out there that's pretty insane. I mean, the water's dropping, so these fish are in such shallow water that the trolling motor it's frustrating because the trolling motor's in the mud and you're still 30 yards from the back of the tulies or the pocket where you want that frog. When we fished that derby, we were throwing frogs in skinny water, like this, with a little mat, not a heavy mat, but a little bit of mat, and the fish would move, and you could see half of his back go over there and eat it. It was insane, you know.
That
But
is some of the funnest fishing with those frogs. It's an incredible bite. I got to do it with my cousin.
yeah, it's pretty
It's
fun.
it's an incredible bite. Do
But
you think
that happens later in the day. You got to let that sun get up a little bit, then that start to go throw a frog. But there's a lot of stuff going on out there. Carolina rig fishing, drop shot fishing, a little bit of topwater fishing, frog fishing, flipping. Everything is in the mix.
now there's a whole bunch of controversy going on about the FSS? Do you think the FSS makes a big difference?
Well, for the people, here's the way I look at it. It's just like on a saltwater boat. If you're going to do it professionally, you want every tool that they allow you to use legally, right? So, the forward-facing sonar, we got our butt kicked by it 2 weeks ago. It's my bad because that's kind of not the way. I don't really enjoy fishing like that. I enjoy fishing off of my instincts and my eyes, and all the old data that I have, and then I know all the different pebbles in the lake and stuff. But these guys are fishing out in the middle of the lake and fishing for free swimmers, and yeah, you can see them. Adam's really good. He spends a lot of time doing it, but I don't enjoy myself. I turn mine on, and I like to have it on when I'm fishing 15 foot to 5 foot, because those fish, you can pitch a drop shot over there and get them to bite. But those suspended fish, I mean, it's a whole nother game. So, like the guys on the MLF, those kids that are just like really doing well, they go out there. They're out there every day on their off time, and they're learning how to use it. You know what I mean? Where the old guys are like me, and they're like, I'll beat them without it. But proof is in the pudding. The guys that are really good at the forward-facing sonar are coming to the top of the cream. So
And
I don't hate it. I don't dislike it. If I was fishing a lot of tournaments nowadays, which I try not, I'm not, I would be out there every chance I had, strictly with the forward-facing sonar bait all day long, getting my stuff dialed in, because you got to have it. But
so what happens with that thing, gang, is what Al's talking about. Is Al, myself, old timer, we're visual fishermen. We're looking at the little tree stump or the bush or the point, or where he knows his little stones are or whatever, and we're trying to throw our bait around there. If you watch these young kids today, they're staring at the screen like they've stared at their phone their whole life. They're staring at the screen, and they can see there's a bass right there, 5 feet off the bow at 8 feet depth. So they're throwing and they're letting their bait sink right in front of the fish. And yeah, it works phenomenal. But you're staring at the screen all day. Now, if there's hundreds of thousands of dollars connected to that, yeah, but you're missing out on a beautiful day out on the lake, right, Al?
well, yeah, and it's stressful because in the morning, if there's no wind, it's less stressful. But as soon as that wind kicks up, I mean, you're looking at the fish with your eyes, your foot's on the trolling motor, and so everything's connected from your right foot all the way to your brain. It's you get off the water after doing that stuff, and you're just wiped out. I'm wiped out completely. You know, it's a lot to it. I mean, the fish are swimming. I mean, you can see them. You know, once you get it dialed in, they're swimming like this. You can see your bait drop down. You know, and you want it above them where they come up and eat it. But if it drops down, like when I fish that skinnier water, I'll just pitch it out there and let it fall. And the ones that eat it, they'll go right. You can watch them; they go right down and eat it. It's crazy, but you got to have your stuff really tuned in and be on point 100%. And it takes a lot of battery power out of me to do that. I'm not making excuses. I just the way it is I personally don't like fishing like that, and I haven't put enough time into it. You know, I got $9,000 worth of electronics on the bow of that Ranger, which has 2 meters. One of them is up and down, and then side scan, and the other one is an active target. So I have everything there, but it's springtime, man. You don't really need it. I mean, it's a tool. You can use it. You can go fish like that, but springtime fishing, By the way, if anybody on here wants, man, there's a lot of options with me. You want to go to the lake? Now's the time to go to the lake. It's $700 for 2 people for 8 hours at the lake. You want to go to the back bay? 3 people, $675. That's a smoking deal. That's pre-COVID prices. Everybody else that knows what's going on back there is charging $750 and $800. And then I'm doing these specials to the islands. Bypass the California 2 rock cod. Go to the islands, load up, link cod. You do a full day with me at the islands. We get to get down below them and go to my link cod spot and load you up on link cod and reds and maybe get some yo-yo iron yellowtail. And I'm giving you $200 off the full day and the 3/4 day at the islands. I can't do anything less than that. I don't run a blue light special operation here. So if you guys want to go fishing on a top-notch operation with me, give me a call, But I can't do the open party 4 guys for $200. I can't even get out of the bay for that. So that's not my gig,
No, we understand. We understand, buddy.
I just had to throw that out there because it's happening and I can't compete with it,
So Pablo's catching some yellows at La Jolla. San Diego's catching some yellows at the islands. I heard there's a big volume of fish down below the islands, kind of. So there's so much yellow. I know who knows after this hurricane that we have blowing today, yesterday, what's going to be left, but there's so many options. If you do get on a boat with Al or Pablo and you get to go down there and do something different, you could go rockfish fishing, but you also could catch a yellowtail. You don't know what's going to happen. That's the unique thing about fishing with these guys on their boats. And the thing about it is next time you're thinking about going fishing with someone, stop and think about who the people are that you're going to give them your business. Yeah. Al is a super good human being. You guys are getting to know him and you're getting to know all about him. And you got an opportunity to go out and do some largemouth bass fishing with an expert largemouth, or you got a chance to go catch some bonefish in the back bay with the expert, or you got a chance to go fish the islands with the expert, or go fish La Jolla with Pablo, or go fish Long Beach, LA, Catalina with Justin. We have all the guys. There's no reason to go look around for anybody else, gang. We got you covered, whatever you're trying to accomplish. And Captain Al, Matt Ryan wanted to know, what's the weirdest thing you've caught rockfish fishing?
Well, the coolest, weirdest thing is when I had Benjamin, my grandson, on the deck with us, and he pulled up this big old, like a 6-pound red, and it had a Nemo, a little barber pole fish in its mouth, and the red was a jumbo. It was like 6 or 7 pounder. I think that was one of the coolest things that happened. It wasn't even hooked.
That is pretty rad. I bet you your grandson was pretty excited about seeing Nemo in that fish's mouth.
I have a picture of it still. So somewhere. And then the other thing is down there at the SKR, when I talk about the SKR and the 5-minute kelp, down on the South Ridge below South Island, that area has a lot of mixed bag fish. And there's been 5 times where we're fishing rock cod rigs and we catch these big old 35-inch halibut down there on a rock cod rig. Pretty crazy. But other than that, nothing real weird or crazy, you know.
So when I was commercial fishing rock cod, one day we caught a basket star, which was the most wildest thing I'd ever seen. We caught a basket star, and it's like a brittle starfish with a root on it and a million little arms that are catching plankton all the time. And this thing was half the size of my 50-gallon aquarium because I took it home and put it in my aquarium because we didn't know what it was. Caught a basket star. That was the most oddest thing I've ever seen. I've seen zillions of different weird fish that we had to get identified by scripts and stuff, but the basket star by far was the craziest, coolest thing we've ever seen. And you can look it up. You can go Google it and see what a basket star is. It's a pretty unique animal. Pretty unique.
The
So
coolest, the
go ahead.
coolest fish out of the bay is that midshipman.
They have a bunch of lights on them, right?
No, it's like an eel with a head on it. That fish. You know what I'm
Yeah.
talking about?
Yeah, and then all those little white spots on them are
Yeah.
actual they light up at night.
Yeah, and they got some gnarly teeth on them too. Somebody wants to see my boats. I'm trying to find a picture for them.
That's Jeanette.
If I knew how to use this phone a little bit better, I'd be a little quicker.
Yeah, you would. There's plenty of opportunities to go fishing, gang. We're going to hope and pray that the gentleman that chartered Al's boat allows him to go live tomorrow so we can see some more of that fun back bay, especially with the 2 young men. That'd be great for them. Try to sell it to them that it's going to be a memory that they can share with all their friends. It'll be on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, YouTube. It'll be cool for us too to watch. We're hoping that you get to do that.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to be a problem. The guy seems real mellow.
That's good. And then maybe the doctor will allow you to do it for you on Sunday. Just tell him it's promoting my biz, doc. He loves you.
Right? He's it's Dr. Chris Mimic. He goes on like 15 long range trips a year. He's 82 years old and he stands on that deck of that Ranger by me most of the day. 82. He's a stud.
And then another member of our website asked me, what is your favorite bait for rockfish fishing, Dave? Well, if I'm going rockfish fishing with you guys and we're going to go and we got anchovies, oh, baby, vermilion rockfish love the anchovy. So we're going to use that. If we don't have the live anchovy, I'm going to use the cut squid because that's going to get you a volume of fish. Now, if I'm going to go lingcod fishing, Captain Al, or go out with my buddy Pat, we're going to go, and we don't want anything but a lingcod. I'm going to put a 1 pound weight on the end. I'm going to put a dropper loop about a foot above the 1 pound weight. And I'm going to use a live greenback mackerel. I'm going to clip his tail, the top fin of his tail, and I'm going to fire that baby down there. What happens if I do that? Well, I don't have to worry about any of the little fish eating my mackerel. I'm not going to catch a starry rockfish or a bocach, or I'm going to catch me a big lingcod, or I'm going to catch me a big vermilion, or I'm going to catch me a cowcod. And I use the live mackerel. That's my go-to if I want a big whopper fish. If I'm not worried about filling your boat up with fish, that's how I'm gonna fish it. That's kind of the go-to. If you need to catch a bunch of fish for your friends and family, strips of squid, the rock cod squirts, or the double dropper loop with the strip of squid. And if you have the opportunity, and hopefully they're going to have anchovies for a while. Anchovies are vermilion's very most favorite food. Those vermilion rockfish love the anchovy. So that's the kind of bait I'm going to use.
Lingcod like that red meat, boy.
Oh, yeah. They like that bigger bait, something to chase around. They're into it.
Damn it.
What's the matter?
I can't find it. I have a picture with all 3 boats on there. I can't find it.
Well, you're just going to have to go pick Jeanette up and take her down and show her the boat.
Right. You can go to my website, CaptainClowers.com, click on the boats link, and all three of them are on there.
Yeah, I'll put the QR code up here on the screen for everybody, and you can go straight over to Al's and see what he's talking about. And
just put it this way: when you got three boats, it keeps you busy without fishing sometimes, just to keep them all working correctly.
right.
And clean, you know?
There's his QR code right there on the screen, gang. Go over there and check out what Captain Al Clowers has going on. And I want to thank everybody for watching our show today. Thank you for jumping on for the second half, Al. I'm looking forward to tomorrow, gang. Hopefully he's going to go live around 10 o'clock in the morning. And we'll log in with Al when he goes live, and then we'll click out of it. For Chris Dunn's going to join us tomorrow at noon, the fishing weatherman. He's going to jump in here and tell us all about what springtime weather looks like and where we're headed with this La Nina, El Nino, whatever they want to call it this week. We'll see what's happening, what he has suggestions for the water temperature and the fishing this year. It's always fun when Chris comes on because he brings a high level of intelligence to the show. It's pretty cool, Captain Al. And then we'll click. While we're live with Chris, we'll be live with you, watching you in the background and clicking back over when you catch the big whoppers. What are you going to say?
Right on. Nicholas said, how about a monthly Back Bay open party trip? I'm all about it. I was doing them for a while there. What do you want? Weekdays? Weekdays are best for the open party, Nick. You call me up, 619-800-FISH.
And the best thing to do, Nick, is call Al, tell him what date you can go, and then we'll do our very best on the podcast to fill in the other two spots so he can get out there and eat.
Right. Hey, another thing is June 2nd, we have that full day island trip. I already have 3 people to go. I need 3 more. It's $500. Full day down the islands in June. So anybody that wants to go, hit me up. There's 3 spots left. Where you at, Lisa? You need to get on that trip.
Hey, Kevin Cubby Paul, welcome. Nice to see Kevin. Anything else you want to add to the show today, Al, before we close it up?
No, just, there's a lot of fishing going on. Yeah, the ocean's rough, but with me, there's a bunch of options. The lake, the Back Bay, once the ocean settles down, we'll be fishing down the islands. I'm doing a half-day local rock cod trips if you guys want to do that on the Riviera. So whatever you guys want to do, I could take you. You come down and do 3 days in a row. I could take you to the lake, take you to the Back Bay, and take you to the islands on 3 different platforms. So sky's the limit. Let's roll. I'm ready to go.
Let's take advantage of it. Let's get down there and go fishing with Captain Al. I want to thank you once again, everybody, for watching our show today. I hope you enjoyed it. Hope you learned a little bit more about Rockfish, a little bit more about Captain Al's operation, and let us know if you need to go fishing. If you can't figure us out, you can't find us. If you can't figure out how to use the QR code, you can't figure out how to find Captain Al, you can always call me at 949-374-0786. Check out that Cavalla deal, $20 off when you buy your Cavalla reel. Pretty good deal. Pretty phenomenal deal. Go check out the website, Okuma Fishing USA.com. Check them out. There's the QR code right under Al's chin, and we'll see you all tomorrow with Captain Al live on the water with the family.
Yeah.